Kidnapping is one of the worst things to experience. As a kid, we all had fears about being grabbed by an unknown person or thing during the night. How many nights as children did we all lay in bed panicked that we could feel a monster's cold hands on our ankles as we jumped in or out of bed at night? Luckily, the world seems full of unlikely heroes, full of people willing to save us when we least expect it. Watch this video till the end to know what happens when a bus driver gets a strange feeling about a boy, then stares in shock when he sees the boy's feet. Learn how two teenagers checking out an attractive girl in traffic saved her life and how a woman saved herself after being kidnapped. Teenage boys see an attractive girl in traffic and save her life. It was a hot August day in Texas. A beautiful woman had a carefree time at a local party and was leaving to go home. Suddenly, she found herself being forced into her own car at gunpoint by a strange man she'd never seen before. She panicked, wondering what the man planned to do with her. He put her in the backseat of the car and drove through downtown Dallas. What would you do if you found yourself in this terrifying situation? Meanwhile, 19-year-old Aaron Arias and his friend 17-year-old Jamal Harris were driving down the road on their way to pick up a friend from work. The boys were laughing and goofing off where they noticed a pretty lady stopped in traffic next to them. Her good looks caused them to pay closer attention to her. They were quickly confused and then very scared at what they saw. The woman whose mouthing helped me to the boys. They could read her lips. Was this a prank? Judging by the woman's panicked expression, Aaron and Jamal were certain this was actually a damsel in distress. The woman began banging on the back windshield, confirming their thoughts. This woman definitely needed help. The boys quickly called 911, but officers weren't nearby. The teens decided to follow the car so that the woman didn't get lost. "We just wanted to see this through to the end," the boys later said. The kidnappers noticed the boys in pursuit and tried to lose them by making abrupt turns and speeding away in traffic. The kidnapper attempted to trick them by repeatedly slowing down to a crawl, trying to force the boys to speed past him. Next thing they knew, he would speed up and fly past them. Aaron and Jamal were sweating at this point. Were they going to be able to keep their eyes on the woman at her car? What was taking the police? The kidnappers sped through traffic lights in an attempt to get as far away from the boys as possible. The harrowing 911 call recorded during the incident captured the boys' complete relief as the police finally caught up with the kidnapper and pulled the car over. "Oh my God, get him!" The boys can be heard yelling. There were so many squad cars, there wasn't much he could do. The teens said the kidnapper had no choice but to give up. Police arrested the kidnapper, a 37-year-old man named Charles Atkins Lucas Jr. He was charged with aggravated kidnapping and aggravated robbery. Later, Aaron and Jamal met up with their damsel in distress. She thanked them and hugged them both. The boy said it was the best hug they had ever received. What would have happened to the woman if Aaron and Jamal hadn't noticed her signaling for help? We will never know. Luckily, the two teens saved the woman and were hailed as heroes. Though they were definitely late picking up their friend from work that day. Woman is her own hero. Aaron and Jamal in our first story saved a lady in distress. This next unfortunate kidnapping victim didn't have anyone to come to her rescue. Kidnapped in very much the same way as our desperate woman in Dallas, this kidnapping victim was also forced into her own car at gunpoint by an angry man. The woman was getting some items from the backseat of her car in the parking garage of her Orlando, Florida apartment at 7 p.m. in the evening. The next thing she knew, a man was screaming at her, "If you scream, I have a gun and I will shoot you." The man ordered her to get in the front seat of her car and keep her head between her legs. Panic and fear set in. How is she going to get out of this situation? The kidnapper drove the woman around for several hours while she helplessly sat in the passenger seat of her car. The woman had a lot of time to think. She made a smart decision. She tried to be as observant as possible without moving a muscle. The man had a cell phone conversation that revealed they were in Sarasota, Florida. She saw the edge of a sign that said Dreads on it. And then luckily a shred of information reached her ears. The person on the other end of her kidnapper's phone conversation called in by the name Michael. It seems our kidnapper was indecisive because he eventually ordered the woman to get into the driver's seat and take him back to Orlando. Amazingly, the kidnapper fell asleep. Yes, that's right. He fell asleep while kidnapping someone. Real winner right there. The woman saw her chance and took it. She ran every red line and stop sign in fear that slowing down the car or stopping would wake him up. She was looking for the perfect place to stop the car and run. Finally, she came to a 7-Eleven gas station. The woman quickly stopped the car and ran inside the convenience store. Can you imagine the spectacle in that store? When this woman came running inside and hid behind their counter, she frantically yelled for the clerk to lock the doors. Thankfully, the store employees took her seriously. As soon as the doors were locked, the kidnapper came running up and tried to get inside. He held up the woman's purse, trying to tell them that she had left it in the car. Oh, maybe this whole incident was just a misunderstanding. This nice man just wanted to return the woman's purse after she'd forgotten it in the car. Luckily, no one fell for that trick. Soon, the man ran off. Shortly after that, the police arrived. The man hadn't gotten far. Police got a report of a suspicious person at a nearby manufacturing plant. It was the kidnapper. He was arrested. Turns out this guy was fresh out of jail on probation. Looks like that sleepy kidnapper went straight back to his cot in jail for a long nap. Our final story is about another unlikely hero. A bus driver gets a strange feeling about a little boy on his bus. When he sees the boy's feet, he knows the truth. Before we tell you how this bus driver saved the day, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more crazy stories. Now onto today's final story. It was 2015 in hilly San Francisco. Somewhere in the city, a kidnapper was on the loose with a 3-year-old boy. The boy had been snatched from the front of a public library an hour prior, starting an emergency search for his location. Tim Watson, a city bus driver, had heard the bulletin come across his bus radio. He never expected to see the little boy on his own bus that afternoon. To Tim's surprise, a crying little boy and a man climbed to board the bus. Tim had 2 kids of his own, so he had an idea of the difference between a grumpy child and a child in distress. This little boy sounded like he was in distress. The boy also matched the physical description of the missing child. Tim watched the boy and the man in his rear-view mirror. He was unsure what to do. What if his gut feeling was wrong and he mistakenly accused the man of kidnapping his own child? But what if his gut feeling was correct? And this was the missing toddler. Tim decided to come up with a heroic plan. He would confirm his suspicions and then contact the police. But he couldn't let the kidnapper know what he was doing. Tim made up a story about a missing backpack, saying he needed to check the bus for the lost bag. This allowed Tim to take a closer look at the crying 3-year-old boy. Tim looked at the boy's feet, and then he knew the truth. The boy was wearing red shoes. The description of the missing boy included red shoes. Tim managed not to react. He kept his face blank and walked back up to the driver's seat. Tim quietly radioed for police to meet the bus at the station, and he drove straight there. Tim must have been sweating knowing that there was an unpredictable kidnapper sitting at the back of a city bus. Thankfully, Tim and the bus riders all made it back to the station without incident. Big sigh of relief there. The police met and captured the kidnapper as he got off the bus, with the missing toddler in his arms. The authorities had to pry out the boy from his grasp. The man's face was determined and emotionless. Overcome with emotion, Tim broke down, crying. "This could have been my child that was abducted." He said, "I feel I did what any father would do." Tim was the unlikely hero who saved the day for that 3-year-old boy and his family. Wish we were all in a position where we could know someone who would save us from a dangerous situation. We need to stay hopeful that these heroes are out there.